Let's get started with our study guide. We should know all the vocabulary from our vocabulary paper we review every day in class. So make sure you have those memorized. Let's get started. Are these equivalent fractions? Are these equal? There's lots of different ways you could find out whether these are equal or not, so let's go through our procedures. What number times 12 gets me 28? It doesn't work. What about 9 and 21? No, it doesn't work either. Well, one way I could do this is I could divide 9 and 12 by its GCF. Get 3 and 4. Do the same thing here. Divide by 7. Divide by 7. And I get 21 and 28 is also 3 over 4. Equivalent means equal. They are equal fractions. Another way you can check to see whether these are equivalent fractions is to multiply diagonally. 9 times 28, 252. 12 times 21, using my head as a calculator there, I get 252. So those are the same, therefore they're equivalent. I'm going to take my watch off here. Which of the following, what happened there? Which of the following is between 1/4 and 1/3? Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to convert these all to decimals. Okay, so that'll get me going there. And I'll turn this into a decimal as well, and this one here too. Alright, now, which one of these decimals, now that we've converted it, is in between these two? If I had a number line here, here's 0.25, here's 0.33. Which one of these ends up between there? Did you say C? Yep, you got it. It's right in between there. So let's see. The number 3. Find the sum and difference of the following. Well, we got to identify what sum means. Sum means add. Difference means subtract. Means difference. Take away. Sum means add. Okay. Find the sum of 2/5 and 2 and 225. Okay. So I know I'm adding. That means I have to find common denominators. I can do that by finding the GCF and also the LCM, but mostly I want to use the LCM here. So the LCM of 5 and 225 is actually 225. Now, what number do I multiply 5 by to get to 225? This is going to stay the same here. So 5 times 45 equals 225. So whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top, you get 90 over 225. Now I have to keep the denominators the same. I get 225. 90 plus 2 is 92. So I end up with 92 over 225. And I cannot simplify that. Number 4, find the sum of 2/5 and 2/3. It says visually solve number 4 with the drawing. So let's solve it procedurally first, and then we'll come back and we'll draw a picture. So 2/5 sum, as we said, means add. Okay, so we've got 2/5 plus 2/3. Got to find common denominators, or common multiples, least common multiples. The least common multiple of 3 and 5, 6, 9, 12, and 15. Okay, so multiples is like multiplying. 10, 15, 20. So our least common multiple, or our least common denominator, is 15. Now you ask yourself, how did I go from 5 to 15? Well, I multiplied by 3. Whatever you multiply on the bottom, you multiply on the top, so 2 times 3 is 6. And we'll do the same thing for the other fraction. How do we get from 3 to 15? We multiply by 5. So now, since we multiplied by 5 on the bottom, we'll multiply by 5 on the top. That leaves us with, at our tops, which is 16 over 15, which is the same thing as 1 and 1 over 15. Now let's do the same thing by drawing a picture. So we'll start off by making 5 parts of a whole. Okay. Now I'm going to pause the video and do the same thing for 2/3. 2/5 and 2/3. All right. Now we need common denominators with our shapes. So to do that, we look at the number we multiplied by to get to 15, which was times 3. So that means we have to break it up into thirds. Okay? Great. Now the same thing for 2/3. What did we multiply by to get to 15? We multiplied by 5, so we have to break it up into fifths. Same thing? Same thing? Okay. Now, our next step is to ask ourselves, how many shaded shapes are there? Or how many shaded, we'll say, columns? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. Then, so 3 plus 3. And there's our 5 and 5. So we can think of that as 10 plus 6 is 16. So that'll be our numerator. And our denominator is going to be the amount in each row. So we have 15 in the top row, 15 in the bottom row. So we know their common denominator is 15. And as we discussed in the previous procedural method, we have to rewrite this as a mixed number. And there you go. We get 1 and 1 over 15. Good news. Man, this is something, huh? So now we have 2.5 plus 3/5. I'm going to start off by making it common denominators, and you're more than welcome to make it into a mixed number if you or improper fraction if you like, but I'm going to start off by making these common denominators. I know that my least common multiple is 10. And how do I get 10? I multiply the 5 times 2 to get 10. I get 6. 5 times what will give me? 2 times 5 will give me 10. So whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. Now, same thing. I add the tops, leave the bottoms the same. You get 2 and 11 over 10. I know that 2 and 11 over 10, I don't want to leave this as an improper fraction. But I know that 11 over 10 is actually 1 and 1 over 10. And I could add that to my 2 here. You get 3 and 1 over 10. That's some kind of wonderful, huh? So when is this guy going to stop telling jokes about sums? Man, jeez, what's wrong with him? So we have the sum of 24 hundredths and 71 hundredths. Sum means add. So we have 24 hundredths plus 71 hundredths. I add these together, which is really difficult. You get 95 hundredths. Incredible. This is number 6 here. Number 7.
Number 7, it says find the difference of 4/7 and a half. So remember, difference means subtract. We want to solve this using a drawing too, okay? So we've got to do it both ways. So let's start off by solving it procedurally first. In order for us to solve it procedurally, we have to have common denominators. So if you don't know what the common denominator or the least common multiple of 7 and 2 is, we should list out our multiples. 7, 14, 21. So we'll list 3. Let's list our multiples of 2. 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 14. So our least common multiple is 14. How do we go from 2 to 14? We multiplied by 7. Whenever you do the bottom, you do to the top. Now we'll do the same thing for the other fraction. The denominator is multiplied by 2. Whenever you do the bottom, you do to the top. Since we're subtracting, we'll do 8 minus 7 to get 1 over 14. That's how you do it procedurally. Now let's take a look and solve this. With a picture. So we'll start off by drawing 4/7. Okay, so it's 4/7, so I have to color in 4 out of 7. Now I'll do the same thing for a half. Okay, so we have to color in 1 out of 2. Okay, now we ask ourselves, how do we go from 7 to 14? Multiplied by 2. So that means that we have to cut this in half. Okay, do the same thing for how do we go from 2 to 14? We multiplied by 7. So we have to cut this into 7s. Same thing for the other shape. One more. Okay, now we have to subtract 7/14 from 8 over 14. Let's get a different color here. And we're going to take away 7. 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. Okay? So we're left with 1 remaining shaded on our top part here. So that leaves us with a denominator of 14 and a numerator of 1. So we get 1 over 14 with our shaded part. That's how we figure it out visually.
All right, number 8. Find the difference of 8 and 2/5 and 7 and 2 over 11. Difference means subtract. Difference means subtract. Okay, so what we're going to do is we got to find common denominators here. You know, common denominator of 5 and 11 is 55. All right, what number times 11 gives me 55? Well, it's 5. Whenever you do the bottom, you do the top. It's just routine here. And I get 7 and 10 over 55 minus, because difference means subtract, over 8. What number times 5 gives me 55? 11. We do the bottom, we do the top. You get 22, like that. Okay, gonna switch colors here. All right, now I need to subtract my whole numbers. I get 1. And then I do 22 minus 10, which is 12. I get 1 and 12 over 55. Amazing. Let's keep this ball rolling. Number 9. Find the difference. What is the odds? Find the difference. All right. Uh-oh. We're minusing a whole number from a mixed number. This is going to pose a real problem here. So feel free to pause the video and try this on your own, just like all the other questions. You're more than welcome to. And see what you come up with. Okay, what I need to do is convert this into a fraction. I'm going to do that by rewriting it as 6 and 5 over 5. All right, now I chose that because the 5 was my denominator in this question. Okay, and I'm allowed to do that, breaking it into fifths. All right, now that's done. This problem's going to get a whole lot easier. Okay, so now I just subtract my whole numbers. I get 3. 5 minus 1 is 4. And I get 3 and 4 over 5. Okay, let's keep it moving. Keep it moving, you know. Okay. Difference means subtract. Got kind of the same scenario here, so we're going to roll it out again and do sort of the same thing here. So we got 6, and I notice my denominator is 12. So I have 6, no, that's 6, 5, and 12 over 12, minus 2 and 7 over 12. Much of the same as before, I subtract my whole numbers, I get 3, subtract my tops, I get 5, I end up with 3 and 5 over 12. Amazing! Alrighty, we're on number 11. Keep it going. Number 11, find the difference. Difference means subtract. Okay, so we got difference here. Just like all the other questions, I've got to find common denominators. So a common denominator for 3 and 6 is 6. And I'm going to keep this the same, so that's nice and convenient. Now, what number times 3 gets me 6? Well, it's 2. 2, so whatever I do at the bottom, I do at the top. Now I'm left with 3 and 2 over 6 minus 1 and 5 over 6. Great. Oh, there's a problem here. I can't do the 2 minus the 5, so I've got to regroup, or some people call it rename. So I'm going to rename this fraction here as 2 and 6 over 6. Okay, and I'm also going to write this 2 out of 6 on the side here, like that. All right, minus 1 and 5 over 6. Okay, so I kind of added the step there. I didn't need to, that last part. All right, now I'm going to add that up. I get 2 and 8 over 6. Keep the bottoms the same, add the tops. It's 1 and 5 over 6. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and subtract my whole numbers. I get 1 and 3 over 6, which is the same thing as 1 and a half. Let's move on. All right, find the product of 8 over 7 and 7 over 24. Product means multiply. So I'll start off by using cross products here to simplify. I get 1 and 1, that's really nice. Then I'll do it opposite here. I get 1 and 3. Now, remember, when you multiply fractions, you multiply straight. To get 1 over 3. Amazing. Number 5. Uh-oh, I don't see any operations. Well, it's important to remember that when you're multiplying and there's 2 parentheses like this, it means to multiply. So I want to actually turn this into a mixed or an improper fraction. So to do that, I'll multiply 3 times 3, which is 9. Add the 2 to get 9. not 9, get 11 over 3. Now I'll do the same thing here. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4, to get 4 over 3. Alright, and I looked to multiply or divide opposite. I can't, so I've got to just multiply straight here. And I get 44 over 9. Okay, so now I don't want to leave that as a improper fraction, so I'm going to go ahead and just divide. 9 goes into 44 4 times. You get 36. You get a remainder of 8. And end up with 4 and 8 over 9. 4 and 8 over 9. Find the quotient of minus 1 over 6 and 0. Alright, so I'll start writing this as a fraction here to get a visual on this. Okay. I'm going to divide 1 over 6 into 1 over 6 divided by 0. Well, I can't actually do that. So my answer is no answer or error. So error does not work. A good way to remember this is if you see the number on the top and there's a number on the bottom, I write it here like this. Then I put an N above it. And what do you see there? I see no. It doesn't work. Okay, so a good trick to remember, if the 0 is on the bottom, that you can put the 0 over here and put an N above it, and it doesn't work. It does not work. So great. Let's go to the next one. Visually draw out the quotient of 3/8 and 3 over 4. All right, let's visually draw out 3 over 8 and 3 over 4. The quotient of 3 over 8 and 3 over 4. So I need to make here rectangle. I'm going to pause this so I save some time here. So we have here 3/8 and 3 over 4. So I want to color in 3 out of 8. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm going to color in 3 out of 8. Okay. And my second part of this says 3/4. So I'm going to draw 3 out of 4. I'll pause the video and do that. Okay, now I'm going to look at my numerator of my second fraction, which is 3, and I'm going to circle 3 rows. Change it to blue here so you can maybe see it a little better. 3. The number of shaded in squares, which was 12. And my denominator is going to be the number of squares I circled. So that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 times 3 is 24. 12 over 24 is the same thing as 1/2. Alright, let's continue. Product of 2/10 and 1 and 6/10. Product means multiply. So here I'm going to do 0.2 times 1.6. 2 times 6 is 12. Carry the 1, that's 12. That's just 1. Add a place value, 2 and 0. Add straight down. My decimal point will go 2 places from the right to here. The answer is 32 hundredths. Alright, so just like we did the last question up here, we know we have to multiply. So we'll begin by writing 3 and 66 hundredths times 1 and 33 hundredths. So I'll do 3 times 6, 3 times 6 times 3, and 3 times 3, and I'll get 18, carry the 1, I get 19, carry the 1, I get 10. Go to the next value. Same thing. 3 times 6 is 18, carry the 1, I get 9, carry the 1, I get 10. 2 place values. 1 times 6 is 6, 1 times 6 is 6, 1 times 3 is 3. Add these straight down. I get 8. I get 17. I carry the 1. I get 16. Carry the 1. I get 8. And then 4. Do you know where the decimal point goes? 4 places from the right. There we go. There's your answer. Bingo, bingo, bongo. Let's move on. The quotient of 0 and 75 hundredths. Zero and 75 hundredths. So we'll take the 0. I'll write it over here. The 0's on the top, and then I'll put it, since the 0's on the top, I'll put a K underneath. And what does that spell? Okay. So your answer does work. It is 0. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. The quotient of 104 tenths and 25 hundredths. Okay, quotient means divide. All right, so first thing we'll do is we'll put the 104 tenths inside the house and the 25 hundredths on the outside. Next, we'll move the decimal over 2 places to the right to get that. I'm going to rewrite this. Hopefully I'll have enough room for my question. I'll try to write small. It looks like that. All right, let's go ahead and divide. How many times is 25 going to 100? 4 times. I get 100. Bring down my 4. 25 can't go into 4, so I've got to add a 0 here. Multiply it by 0. 25 goes into 40 one time. Get a remainder of 25. 40 minus 25 is 15. Add a decimal point because I got to keep going here. Add a 0. Bring that 0 down. 20. I'll put it up here. 25 goes into 150 6 times. So my answer is 401 and 6 tenths. Story problems. All right. Let's move on to story problems. In Minnesota, the morning temperature was 20 3/4 Fahrenheit. By mid-afternoon, the temperature had decreased by 8.5 degrees. What's the final temperature? Well, I'm going to identify some key words here, and one is decreased, and decreased means minus. It's not decreed, but decreased. So I can go ahead then and take 20 3/4 minus 8.5. So here I can find common denominators of both of these. And that'll leave me with 4. Space here. It's confused. And then 4 times 2 is 4. So what do I do? The bottom, I do the top. 2, so then I'll get 8. So I do 3 minus 2 is 1. And I keep the denominators the same. I'll do 20 minus 8, which is 12. And I get 12 and 1/4. So it decreased by 12 and 1/4. Approximately 1/5 of the world's population lives in China. The people in India make up 1/6 of the world's population. What fraction of the world's people live in either India or China? All right, so we're going to go ahead and do, we've got to do a combination problem here. So we're going to do 1/5 plus 1/6. So what I want to do is make common denominators. Common denominator of 5 and 6 is 30. What number times 5 gives me 30? 6, you guessed it. 6 times 1 is 6. Six plus 5 is 11. 11/30 is my answer. So what fraction of the world's population lives in either China or India? 11 out of 30. It's a pretty significant amount, huh? Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Stella's making punch for a party. Punch is a type of juice. Okay, Stella's not punching anybody. She needs a total of 9/10 gallon of water to add to fruit juice, and in one container she has 1/3 gallon water. In another, she has 2/5. How much more water does she need? Get 11 over 15. Okay, so now I've got to figure out how much more water she needs. So now I have to do 9 over 10 minus 11 over 15. So the same thing goes here. So next I'll find common denominators again. I get common denominators of 30 and 30. What number times 10 gets me 30? It's 3, so that makes 27. What number times 15 gives me 30? It's 2, so that's 22. I subtract these, the tops, of course, and I get 5 over 30, which is the same thing as 1 over 6. So she needs, how much more water does she need? She needs 1/6. Let's keep this party going. What do you say? What do you say? Alrighty. What do you say? Dan bought 12 pounds of raisins. She packed them into freezer bags so that each bag weighs 3/4 of a pound. How many freezer bags did she pack? So we've got to take 12 and divide it into 3, or we've got to take 3/4 and divide it into 12. So I'm just going to do 12 over 1 divided by 3 over 4. Then I'll do keep, change, flip to get 48 over 3. And 48 over 3 is equal to 16. So how many freezer bags did she pack? 16. So we're going to start off by converting the 4. So we have decimals and fractions here. So what we want to do is start off by converting the decimal into fraction into a decimal. So 7/5, and this will be 4. Okay, 0.4 or 4/10. All right, now because how many gallons will Casey use to paint her living room? For her living room. So what we need to do is we need to multiply these together, and of course you could have converted it into a fraction if you want. 5 times 4 is 20, carry the 2, that makes 30, carry the 3, that makes 35. Move my decimal over 3 places from the right to get 3 5/10, or just 3.5. So how many gallons of paint will Casey use? 3.5. All right, last question. Trina works after school and on weekends. She always works 3 days each week. This week she worked 2 3/4 hours on Monday, 3 3/5 hours on Friday, and 5.5 hours on Saturday. Next week she plans to work the same number of hours this week, but will work for the same number of hours each day. How many hours will she work on each day? So we've got to take this question here and we have to figure out how much she was working on each day. So before I can do anything else, I've got to figure out how many hours she worked on those 3 days. So to do that, I've got to add, oh fiddlesticks, to add these 3 numbers together. And when I add those 3 numbers together, well, I'm actually going to do is, I'm going to convert this into a decimal. Why not, right? 3, 6, plus 5.5. And when I add these together, I get 11 and 85 hundredths. Now, she plans to work the same number of hours this week, but will work for the same number of hours each day. So that means that there'll be 3 days. So I'll just divide 3 by 11 and 85/100ths. 3 goes into 11 3 times. I get 9. Remainder of 2, carry down the 8. 3 goes into 28 9 times. 3 times 9 is 27. Bring down my 5. 3 times what gives me 15? 5. So I end up with 3 and 95/100ths. So how many hours will she work on each day? 3 and 95/100ths. Thanks for tuning in. It was a long video, but it was going to be helpful. I hope it helped you out. I'm grateful for that it's finished. And good luck on life and then on your test. And I've got some editing to